Hi. Okay, so you guys are on Piel now. Have you looked at the chapter at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a little.
Yes and no in a little bit. Okay.
Got it all
Then
done.
from last week's quiz, you guys all did, at least the majority of you did really well with the grammatical questions. And you did really well with the diagnostics. And you did pretty well with the translations and the parsing. But it's the translation that is confusing you guys.
Yep.
And
Yes.
one of the first things that I'm going to tell you before we do anything is if you know the grammatical answers, use those answers to help you translate the right way. If you know that nifal is passive, then translate a nifal verb in a passive way. And you did
That wasn't my problem.
really well with the diagnostics. It's another time loop. Pretty well with the translations and the parsing. But it's translation. If you guys just turn off your cameras, will that stop the time loop, or are we inevitably in it?
Ladder mics.
Tell you
Maybe the
before
mic.
It favors Kate. It keeps going
is
back to
if you
Kate.
know the grammatical answers, use those answers to help you translate the right way. You know that nifal is passive. then
Everybody mute your microphone.
verb in a passive way.
Does it? There you go.
Did it
Kate,
catch up?
it did. I think somebody's volume is too high and it's cycling it through their microphone. So
Oh.
that's what's causing the audio loop. So if everybody turns their mics off and when you need to ask a question, you can turn your mic on, that will keep us from having an audio loop.
It's not my mic that's too loud, is it?
No, it's one of ours. One of ours is hearing you and then it's pushing it back through the mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. I mean, it happened again for a second. Okay. So does that make sense? You can nod or something. Okay. So you have those grammatical pages on a lot of your quizzes now, and you know the answers to them, so you need to apply them to the way that you're translating. Because a lot of you were translating a nifal verb in an active way, and that's why you're getting points off, not because you had the words wrong or because you even had the order wrong. You just were not applying the passive translation value that you know is what it's supposed to be because you answered those questions right. So you just have to keep everything flowing and together and remember all of the things that you know, not just pieces of it at a time. Which is why the quizzes can actually be helpful because you've written everything down that you need to know. You can just refer to it. You don't have to recall everything from your head. So don't forget to do that too. So I have just a little baby review because some of you are also confused about the difference between voice and action. Okay, so tell me, can you see that? Tell me what is the voice and action of the cow? What's the voice first and what's the action? And since you all have your microphones off, I'm going to tell you who I want to answer. So Richard, you go first.
Okay, the voice is active and the action is simple.
Right. Good. Does that make sense to everybody? Good. And what about the voice and action of the nifal? Kate, you're next. You gotta turn the button. Tell me.
I'm sorry, there was a lot of
Tell me
voiceover.
what is the voice and action of the cow? What's the voice first and what's the action? And since you all have your microphones off, I'm going to tell you who I want to answer. So Richard, you go first.
Kate's the one causing the loop.
Okay, the voice is active and the action is simple.
Right.
Do I really sound like that?
You do really sound like that. All right. So then for nifal, if it's Kate's microphone that's the voice of the cow, what's the voice first and what's the action? Whenever you turn it back on, it's what's looping it. I don't know how to tell you to fix that, but so then Joseph, tell me the answer to that one.
The NIFAL is passive voice, simple action.
Good. Then, since you all have looked at the next chapter already, what's the voice and the action of Piel? Jake.
It's intensive, action, active, voice.
Mm-hmm. And if you look at page 309 and 310, it actually gives you 4 types of action that it's doing. And so you have different options for translation. So the first one, the one that you need to know is to be able to recall is the intensive, and it's the first one. It's the most common one. And the kind of the example that they're giving you is the difference between breaking and shattering. So he broke in the cal and then he shattered in the PL. But that's not the only possible translation value. You don't need to know specifically which of these translation types the PL verb takes. What you need to know is what the PL definition is for the vocab that you're given, and this week the vocab tells you if it's PL or HIFL or NIFAL, and those are the definitions that you need to know. But more often than not, especially as you go further, when you're doing parsing and translating within the text, you're just going to need to use your lexicon to see what the PL definition is of a word, or the NIFAL, or whatever the case may be, because they have slightly different variations, and because the variations kind of are specific to the words rather than just these 4 options, you're more often than not going to be relying on the lexicon for it than this. But you do need to know that typically it's an intensive intensive action, sorry. And that you need to understand what the factitive is and the denominative and the iterative is. Okay? Cool. Okay. So.
Hey, Alyssa.
Yes.
I don't know if you need to re-invite Kate or not, but she dropped out.
Okay. Let me re-invite her. Maybe she was trying to fix it.
Yeah, she might have.
Hold on. Okay, I invited her again, and I'm going to text her real quick. Okay. So, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with the factitive, because those are typically ones where the definition changes, and so you're just going to need to use the lexicon. The denominative comes up relatively frequently, where words that are coming from noun forms and turned into verbs, they typically take the PL, and that's because it's just a way to make the noun into a verbal form. So if you look at 310, you'll see what I mean. So like word goes to speak and things like that. The devar word and then dever to speak is one of the more common ones. And then the iterative comes up as well, and it's just kind of a minor variation from the cal to the PL, but again, you would use the lexicon for that. You wouldn't have to memorize those differences. And so things like quizzes would have very particular translations that you shouldn't need a lexicon to be able to tell exactly what translation value that you need. And when you're translating a PL on a test or a quiz, the easiest thing to do and the best thing to do is to just go with the intensive, option of the translation value. Because if it's something else, it would come up enough that you would know what the correct translation value is, or you would be allowed to use a lexicon on a test or a quiz to be able to tell the difference. Okay. And okay. So then, do you want to go through all of the diagnostics that you should know? Or do you want to just be prepared to know them yourselves? You'll have to tell me.
We're prepared to know them ourselves, but that's just to,
Okay.
If you want to talk about the oddities of the diagnostics, that might be helpful, like the exceptions with the different.
Well, you're just in the Piel strong. What?
I think it might be helpful, like we can memorize the diagnostics, but it's always helpful to hear people talking about where it varies from the diagnostic pattern. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. And so what I would say to you is to make a picture or drawing or whatever of this. You have your Cal diagnostics and your NIFL strong diagnostics and your PL diagnostics all on one page, side by side. I think that you got a copy of this, or at least not exactly this, but a blank like landscape sheet when you were in class last month, a couple weeks ago or something. And just practice filling them out. Right now, you know Cal, NIFL, and PL. And that way you can put the diagnostics side by side and see what the differences are. And I would just practice writing this over and over again from perfect all the way down to your participles so you can see the difference. And if there are any just any mnemonics that you can come up with to remember which goes where, then I would do that as well. I'm pretty sure that Dr. Petter uses some in her videos, and they're really just the sounds of the vowels going down the list. And so if those help you, then her videos are on there as well. But other than that, I would just write them over and over again. The other thing that you can't forget that you know are all of these weak ones too for the NIFL. You don't know any weak for the PL yet, but you do know all of the weak NIFL verbs. And you want to keep up with these diagnostics or keep practicing parsing or whatever is easiest for you to keep all of these differences in your head, because once you learn them, you're always going to have to be able to recognize them. And so if that means that you have to keep doing these papers, then, well, then you do. And then you're going to have PL weak verbs, and it's going to keep going through all of the derived stems. So I would practice, I would spend a fair amount of time doing your diagnostics, and then also doing the paradigms that you know from the Cal, because those paradigms carry over into all of the other derived stems. The only thing that's different is any of the derived stems diagnostics, but they're added to the same prefixes and suffixes for the Cal. Okay? So you should start with a piece of paper like this and just fill it in. And you should be able to do the Cal without looking at anything, and you should be able to do the NIFL without looking at anything, and then the PL is the new one that you should be practicing. Okay? And you don't need that. Okay. So then what you do need to practice, since you know the grammatical answers to those grammatical questions, you need to practice how that actually translates. So I just want you to tell me the difference between the translation value of a Cal perfect for Catal. Tell me what that is, Matt. How do I translate Catal? You gotta take your microphone off silent so you can tell me.
We're fooling with the lights. Is that okay? For the clarity?
Catal.
I mean, you can definitely fool with the lights. You just have to answer the question too.
Catal.
Mm-hmm. How do you translate that for the cow?
Katal.
That's how you say it, but how do you translate it?
Will kill.
The cow perfect. How do you translate that?
What is it to kill? He killed.
He killed. So then how do you translate the cow imperfect?
He will kill.
Right. So then, Richard, how do you translate the nifal perfect?
He was killed.
Mm-hmm. And what about the nifal imperfect?
He will be killed.
Right. So then, for Piel, how would you translate the Piel perfect, Joseph?
He was murdered.
That it is slaughtered or murdered, but it's not passive. It's active. So it's he murdered
Yeah.
or he slaughtered.
Yep.
And so then what's the imperfect?
He will murder.
Yeah. So you need to keep in mind which of those is passive and which of those is active. Nifal is the only one that needs to be translated with a passive. And the cal and the pl need to be translated as an active or intensive. Okay? And since you know that, and you can answer that grammatical question, you just need to apply it to your actual translations. Okay? So, nothing else is changing in this chapter. All that you're doing is learning the new diagnostics and being able to translate with the intensive, and not forgetting how to translate passive, and not forgetting how to translate a regular cal verb. Okay? Because that's really the main thing, is even though you're focusing on something new, you can't forget all of the other stuff that you've already learned, like construct chains and adjectives and how to translate a weak verb and that sort of thing. Okay? So, since nothing is new, we're going to start with a parsing. And you had to do 1 through 20 of the parsing. So, did anyone get a chance to work on that at all? Yeah? Was any of it confusing? Does he combine? Is it all just PL, do you know?
All PL.
It's all
It's
PL.
all Piel.
All right. How do you feel about it? Is it difficult to recognize? No, it's probably the nifal weak verbs that are more difficult to recognize, eh? Okay. Well, you're going to need to be able to recognize the nifal weak verbs. Maybe not so much for this quiz that's coming up this week. So would you like to review your last quiz so that makes more sense first? Because it's only 450, and so you can. Or would you like to just stick with this quiz and go back and figure out your diagnostics and figure out how to identify the nifal weak verbs yourselves? First choice is review. Raise your hand if you want to do that. From the quiz from last week. I can't see all of your hands. Those are hands down. Got it. So, Richard, your hand was going up and down. Can you not decide?
I'll go with the group consensus.
You guys, you can't all go with group consensus. Someone make a choice.
Review.
Review?
I vote against review.
Review, against review, no review. Joseph, you don't have an option of not having a choice.
Yeah, I know everything I did wrong on the quiz last week.
Okay, no review, one review. Kate, review, yes or no?
No, I just care about this coming quiz, honestly.
Okay.
I already lost.
Then we'll review. Yeah, you lost. Sorry, Sean. We'll review later if there's time, and we'll just start with this quiz. So, to review for this quiz, you have translations in your workbook, and you were assigned, what were you assigned? 6 through 15 on page 213 with your workbook. And I would focus on all of those translations and just practice them, but particularly perhaps like the last 4 or 5 of them. Okay? All right. So then, I'm not going to write on the board either. I don't think. No. And so, but I am going to...
We all have it in front of us. We don't need it on the board.
You all have it in front of you? Okay, good. Then I'm trying to figure out. I'm going to go in a loop. I'm going to start with 12 very strategically and go through 15 and then start back at 1. Okay? So, number 12. I want... I'm just going to go from left to right. Matt, you're going to do number 12. So take your microphone off of silent. So where's the verb? You've got to find that first.
Shavar. And so,
Yeah.
and that would be is that I haven't memorized these, so it's taking me a second to get through this at this point.
Just parse that one for me.
Is that 3CP?
Yes. That's part of it. But I need the stem and the conjugation too.
That's what I'm thinking through.
Okay.
So is that Cal Perfect?
It is Cal Perfect 3CP. And what's the lexical form?
Is it called a shin? Shin bait resh with a comets under the shin and a pathak under the bait.
Yeah, what does it mean?
It means... Does it mean to observe?
No.
Broken?
That's more, I think.
Broken, maybe?
It is, but it's a verb, so it's
to break. To break.
Yeah.
So
there's your verb. So if that was all you had, how would you translate that?
They broke.
They did. They broke.
Yeah.
So then, what's right before it?
The city.
Yeah. And what's the word before that?
Is that we or I? Is that we or I or?
No. It kind of looks like that, except it's not that. Because we or I does not have a shin in it. It has a key in it. A cough in it. So this is actually part of a construct chain. And that's the construct form of what irregular noun?
Is that woman? Is that woman?
Close.
Man.
The opposite of woman, but yeah. Mm-hmm. So if that's a construct chain, how would you just translate the construct chain part of it?
The man of the city, and it's definite because the backword's definite, so it's all definite.
Right. The absolute is definite, so it's all definite. But is it man or men?
Men.
Okay. So the men of the city.
The men of the city break
Or perhaps broke.
broke what is it? I don't even remember that word off the top of my
That's
head.
because you don't have that word specifically in your vocab. It's
Yikes.
it's a gloss of another word that you've had that you didn't have to memorize, but now would be a good time to look it up in your lexicon and commit it to memory.
If you're
Nice.
tablet.
Uh-huh. Yep. Don't ever forget that word. Especially not by Wednesday.
Won't. So tablet. FM. What is that? I'm trying to remember.
It's better with them all.
I'm sorry, what was that word again?
Tablet.
Tablet.
Queen?
It's very close to queen, actually. They're almost the same.
Got it, thank you.
Stones.
Stones. Okay. Tablets of stone.
Okay.
So the final
Is
sentence
it-
would be: men of the city broke the tablets of stone.
Okay, is it tablets or tablet?
Tablet.
Okay. So you have, does that make sense? You have the two construct chains, so you have to translate them like that. And then you just have a regular cal verb.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's number 12. You should practice that one. How about number 13, Sharon?
The verb is shibiru, and it is Piel perfect 3CP.
Mm-hmm. Do you
And
see the difference between that and the cal verb?
say again?
Do you see the difference in the vowels between that and the cal verb?
Yes.
Good.
And so the difference would be the Terex as well
Mhm.
as the Dogish Forte.
Right. But everything else is pretty much the same. You have the same endings, and so that's why you still need to know your cal paradigms, and you need to know your diagnostics, because those are the things that differentiate what you're looking at. Good. Keep going. So how would you translate just that?
The men of the city, they broke the tablets of stones. Stone.
Slow it down a little bit.
The men of the city.
No, wait, no, I mean even slower than that. Just do the verb. If it's a PL, and the only real responsibility you have for being able to recall a PL verb, and the correct way to translate it is intensive. If the cal is break, then what is the PL translation of that?
Okay.
Right. So just that verb, if you just had a PL perfect 3CP and there was nothing else there, how would you translate that?
They shattered.
Right. So then go to the beginning of it, and it's very similar to number 12. You have a construct chain, so how do you translate that?
The men of the city.
Mm-hmm.
They shattered.
Mm-hmm.
The tablets of stone.
But look at that last word.
I'm sorry. I was looking at the tablets of the laws.
Right. But is it laws or law?
Laws.
Why?
Am I
This
looking
is
at
all
that wrong?
plural.
No, it's not.
Is it?
It's not. It's not.
It's not.
It's not oath. So the tablet of the law.
But look at tablets. Is tablets
Wait,
plural?
it's tablets. Oath. It's tablets of the law. There we go.
Right. So all together, it's the men of the city shattered the tablets of the law.
Yes.
And one of your favorite vocab words this week is now tablets.
Roger.
Okay? Even though it's not technically a vocab, it is a vocab. You're welcome.
I don't see that in the vocabulary.
Because it's not on your vocab list, it is a word. It's a gloss of a word that you learned. You can find it in the back of your lexicon, but it is in your workbook, and so now you know it, and now it won't throw you off if ever you were to ever see it again, like maybe on Wednesday.
Got you. Thank you.
Okay? All right. 14
That was crazy.
is Jake.
Okay. The verb is will be observed.
Mm-hmm. But parse it.
It's imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's nifal, imperfect.
Yeah.
3 FP. 2 F.
No, 3.
3 FP, that's what I said. 3
Yeah.
FP.
3FP.
Yeah. What else do you want?
Now the rest of it.
Okay. The laws of the great king will be observed.
Yep.
Hooray.
Do you guys see that? You have the construct chain, and the construct chain also has an adjective in it.
We get a new.
Does that make sense? All of your microphones
Wait,
off.
can you say it again?
Repeat.
Yes, I can. So you have the verb, which is a nifal imperfect 3FP for to keep or to observe. Okay, and so since it's nifal, you have to translate it in passive, and it's imperfect, so it's will be kept or will be observed. Okay? Then you go over to your construct chain, which is in front of your verb, and you have Taroth, which is laws. You have Hamelech, which is king, but it's the king because it's definite. And then you have another word right after it, Hagadol, and that is your adjective. Your adjective is agreeing with the noun Melech in person, gender, number, and definiteness. So it's agreeing in all things, so it's attributive. So it's the great king. But then you have to put that within the context of your construct chain. So it starts with the laws, which is definite because the absolute noun king is definite. The laws of the great king will be kept or will be observed. Is that good? And you know all of those vocab words legitimately. Okay? So number 15, I can't tell if Joseph had to get up. The door is open. There he is. Can you answer number 15?
Yeah, I'll do my best. So, we have an imperative.
You're right.
Or
Or what else could it be?
It could also be a cohortative.
But it's not.
Not a cohortative.
I'm sorry.
Could be an infinitive construct, but the rest of this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It can't be an infinitive construct because. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, imperative. It can't be an infinitive construct because of the ending.
Right.
Right. So, no, yeah. All right. Don't mess me up.
Sorry.
So, imperative.
Yeah.
And so it's you observe.
Wait a second. Yes, it's imperative.
Yes.
But will you tell me the person, gender, number, and the stem?
I'm sorry. Yes.
That's
It is cal imperative,
Mm-hmm.
and it is 2 FS or 2FP, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And it is cow imperative 2FP from shamar.
Right. What does shamar mean?
It means to observe or keep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's keep or observe.
Yep.
Keep or observe the law of the. Hold on a second. Hayashar. I'm dealing with Hayashar.
Okay. Well, do you think it's a noun, a verb, or an adjective?
It's probably an adjective.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah. So it's. I'm sorry, I know this one.
No, you do.
Dang it. Do I know this one?
You do.
Um,
If you don't remember how well that you know it, your
um,
lexicon knows it really well too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm blanking. I blanked on an adjective in the quiz last week too, and it irritated me.
I'm sorry. Don't
Yeah.
blank on this adjective.
It's my life. Need to brush up on my vocab.
They have an app for that.
Yeah, they do. I use it, but I've been a lot more regular lately.
You can listen to it too.
Yes, I know. That amazingly does not help me that much.
Then
Maybe because I began not that way, so. Okay, so Yashar. That makes sense. The upright.
yes.
Yeah. So it would be keep or you keep the law of the upright king.
Okay, is that law? Is that singular or plural?
That is singular, but it's in the construct chain form.
Right. It's the construct form of a feminine noun.
Right.
Good. Don't let the towel throw you off.
Oh, I won't.
Good. Okay. 12 through 15 are just excellent translations. But we're going to go through the other ones too so that you feel more comfortable with all of the options for parsing and how to translate it correctly. So we're going to go back up to number 6. And Kate, can you do number 6?
All right. You don't want me to translate. You want me to do what?
Find the verb first and then parse it for me and tell me what it means.
Okay. It's dabaru,
Mm-hmm.
which is Piel. Uh, third masculine plural.
It is third and it is plural, but in the perfect, there's only common.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Common, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so then, and that's it.
Right. So if that's all you had, how would you translate that? And this is one of the examples of the
Denominative, I think.
yeah, the denominative, and it's one of the ones that come up a lot. And so I would just kind of commit at least those 3 to memory, but you don't really have to worry about the rest because, like I said, you can use your lexicon for PLs and some of the other varying definitions of derived stems, unless in your vocab it specifically tells you what definition it's going with, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So, how would you translate that in the PL form?
Well, at first I thought it was just going to be like yelling or something intensive, but because it's denominative, it spoke.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so, since it's 3CP, who spoke?
The kings.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then
To them.
the kings spoke, and then what's the rest?
To them, these words.
Right. That is right. But don't forget the top that's there.
Yeah, according to these words. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So the kings spoke to them according to these words.
Right. That's what I have.
Yay. Okay. Number 7 is Richard. Find the verb for me first, and then parse it and tell me what it means.
Yeah, I've got the verb on the beginning of the sentence.
Yes.
And it's another example of the denominative
It is.
Piel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also got a Vav on it, which is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it we're dealing with an imperfect
Mm-hmm.
Piel, right? And 3MS, right?
Yes.
3MS Piel, imperfect with a Vav.
Verb consecutive, yeah.
So since it's denominative, we would say he spoke.
Right.
How does the Vav affect the Piel at all?
In the same way. The Vav consecutive does the same thing. And
Okay, that's the way I translated it.
yeah, so you could just do and he spoke.
Okay. Then
So,
we have the. Oh,
speaking.
sorry. Go ahead.
Who's speaking?
Okay, the king.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and the king spoke, and then translate the rest of it.
Well, it's the same as 6, so it's
So,
to that. I'd like to them, right?
yeah.
Um, and like to these words or according to these words.
Yeah, according to these words.
Right.
Good. Does that make sense to everybody? Hands, anything? Cool. All right. Then number 8 is back at Matt. Matt.
Oh, sure.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So
What's number 8?
verb,
Number 8.
your verb is going to be kadavarim, and that
Is that a verb? Wait a second. Is that a verb?
Number 8.
No, you're right.
Da.
That's these words. I'm sorry. The first davar.
Yeah.
That's it. And so vaya there. And so that's going to be a.
Are you looking at number 8?
No, I'm looking at number 7. That was my
do
bad.
that.
Okay. So that Devaru, and that is gonna be you, like y'all speak.
Good, but will you parse it for me before you translate it?
Yes, I certainly will.
Thank you.
That is gonna be second person masculine plural, and what is that diagnostic? That's gonna be imperative.
And is it Cal, Nifal, or PL?
And it is Cal.
Is it?
I'm looking.
By your tone of voice, no. But I'm using my social skills, not my Hebrew skills there.
Hey,
Uh,
any kind of skills you have, they can be helpful. But you could also turn to page 313 and see if you could answer that question for yourself.
what is that? So that's, what is this under? So,
Imperative to imperative.
did I say imperative?
You
Yeah,
did say imperative. I'm asking you.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure that out.
Okay.
And that is, so is that,
PL.
that's PL.
It is PL. How do you know it's PL?
Because Sharon told me.
And she is smart. Unfortunately, she can't tell you tomorrow.
Right.
So,
Because it's that diagnostic. I don't have those diagnostics memorized. Let me.
We looked at the chart.
good. Look at charts and memorize diagnostics. So it's a PL imperative, second masculine plural.
Right.
If you look at the top.
And so, yeah, PL imperative, second masculine plural.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be L is 2, so that's to the servants. So that's going to be speak. You plural speak to the servants.
Yes. Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Then number 9 is Sharon.
That would be me.
That is you. Where's the verb?
The verb is divaru.
Uh-huh.
So that is, make sure. PL. So yeah. Okay, it's one to verify. That is number 9.
It's PL. How do you know it's PL?
They're correct.
And?
The Dogger's Forte.
Right.
So
PL what?
PL perfect.
Uh-huh.
3CP.
Yes.
I already did this. Why am I looking like I'm crazy? Okay. PL perfect 3CP. So it is they spoke.
Right.
So I have the king spoke to the words, which I'm sorry, to the servants.
Right. It kind of could look like words if you looked at it too quickly, but
That's why I get my
it's not.
quiz.
Does that make sense to everybody? Good.
Hi.
So then number 10 is Jake.
Did we do that number 7?
I don't know if they're there or not.
Did we do it?
Oh, there they are.
Yeah, I'm here. I was eating things.
Oh. You don't want to do that on camera?
That's a lie. I wasn't eating. I was doing something else. But anyway. What's up? What do you got? What's going on?
Could you do number 10?
Yeah,
Did
absolutely.
you find the verb and parse it and tell me what it means?
Yep. Totally can.
I know.
First word.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a PL of probably what the one that turns a noun into a verb, whatever that is. Isn't that what's going on there? Huh?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally noun.
That's not fair.
Yeah, so fair is a noun.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
But you also, I think it's also a verb that you have this week in vocab, I think.
It's not.
It's not? I trust you. I thought it was.
I don't know. Let's see. Let's find out right now. Let's see. Nope.
No, it's not.
Definitely not.
Nope.
No, but you know what it is it's a noun that's been made into a verb by the PL system.
You're right.
And it means it's a 3MS, and it's perfect with
Is
vav.
that perfect or imperfect?
It's imperfect with the vav on the front there,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it a perfect translation value.
Right. You still have to parse it like it's imperfect.
But we're not parsing, we're translating.
You're doing both.
Oh. Well, in my book here I have just the translation.
Okay.
So it means he made known,
Mhm.
or something like that.
Yeah,
And
something
then,
like that.
I had to look up this other word, which means the dream,
Mhm.
and then it's to his brothers.
Right.
It's got a preposition and a pronominal suffix.
Mhm.
He made known the dream to his brothers.
That word, I don't think that word is actually a vocab word at any point either,
No.
but it is kind of an important word, so you should learn it.
Who's that? Halloum?
Like imminently important or
Not
general?
eminently important, but a
Alright, then.
word that will come up relatively regularly, especially if you're translating anything to do with, I don't know, Joseph or something.
I want nothing to do with him at all.
Which one are you talking about?
Any.
All right.
Am I done?
You're good.
I'm gonna go back
Now
to
it's Joseph's turn, so you can't turn off the microphone yet.
Ah.
Sorry. You're doing 11, I think. Yeah, 11.
Okay. Well, this one's interesting. It looks like it is the Piel imperfect. It could be 3FS or 2MS.
Right.
And it is from the word bakash.
Mm-hmm.
And is that a preposition, an interrogative particle?
It's the interrogative particle.
Just okay, with the mem on it.
Well, not interrogative particle. It's an interrogative word.
What?
Yes.
Got it.
Means what?
It means
No, not. I wasn't asking you. I was telling you. It means what?
oh, it means what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of it. What will you seek?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Done.
Good.
All day, son.
Tag.
All day.
You're done with all of the translations for that page that you're assigned.
All day.
You've been watching a lot of New Girl.
It's nighttime.
So do you want then to keep going with Bible translation so you feel more comfortable with this? Do you want to review last week's quiz? Do you want to go through diagnostics? Do you have a preference? Because you have 50 minutes. And for the purposes of this quiz, I would say you need to do your diagnostics and you need to do the translations that are on this page to be ready for this quiz. But if you just want a general understanding of how to translate because it's sure to come up later on another quiz, then we can review that as well. The silence is amazing. So Richard, what do you want to do? That doesn't count as a thing.
Does that not count?
I have a question.
All right, go ahead, Sharon.
When I just got a little lost on when Jake did his translation, where he made known the dream to his brothers.
Yes.
So I'm a little lost on the verb.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see it at all. I'm stuck. I've been trying to do that for the last 10 minutes. Sorry.
What are you stuck on the parsing of it, or are you stuck on what it means?
The actual what it means.
Okay.
I think of safar, which is not the right word.
Well, if you go back into your lexicon, because this is one of the words that has a particular PL meaning. I just can't
Don't
find
look at the wrong one.
It's on page 460.
Yep.
Safar is to write or count or number, which is the verb that you have.
Yeah.
But the PL the PL translation of it is recount, report, or enumerate.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how you would know what it
Maybe.
means, because the lexicon would tell you. That's one of those examples I was telling you that it has one meaning in the CAL, and that's typically the one that you're going to learn. And so if there's a different meaning in the PL or the HIFIL or the NIFL or whatever, then you'll need to rely on your lexicon for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So, Matt and Sharon, do you have a preference? More Bible translations, quiz from last week. Those are your options. Matt and Sharon.
See, well, I lost earlier, so I have nothing else to say. Uh-oh.
No, that's not how that works. What would you like to do? You want to do a review from last week?
I did, but nobody else.
Okay, well, you lost earlier, but now we've already done what everyone else wanted to do, and so now you have a whole different opinion. So you want a review from last week. So Matt,
want to do that?
I'm
Yeah.
cool with it.
you're cool with that. Jake and Joseph.
Yes.
What's up?
Never mind. I'm going to review from last week. You guys, you do you. Okay. So, do you guys have your quizzes from last week in front of you, or at least easily accessible? Because I don't want to write these down.
Yes.
Okay, good. And also, I can't see you guys at all because I'm looking at the quiz on my computer screen. So just say something if you have a question. So let's see. If you're looking at the first translation on the quiz from last week, then I want going in order. So Richard, it's your turn. Tell me where the verb is and parse it for me on that quiz from last week. Number 1.
Okay. Take a look at it now.
Okay,
Sorry, my computer does not like having two things open at the same time.
I can understand.
Okay, this is from the translation.
Yes, but I want you to parse it first.
Easy.
Good.
We'll nail it. We'll take care of this together.
You will.
It's a Nafal.
Yes.
Perfect. 3FS. And the lexical form is avar.
Sort of.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No. Azav. Excuse me.
Yes. Mhm.
It's kind of small.
Good.
And
So,
I read.
does anyone have any questions about the way that he parsed that or why he parsed it that way? And you're going to have to say it because I can't see you. There's so much silence when I ask you to say something.
I don't have a question.
Good. I mean, I'm glad you're not questioning yourself. All right. Well, then that's good enough.
Well, then I totally blew it like an idiot on translating it. I mean, I got everything, the components right,
Right.
and I even made it passive, so I had the game. But I didn't make city the subject. I don't know why I made it the object. It was just dumb. But I made city the object instead of subject. So I wrote like it should have been the city was left.
Right.
This is not what I wrote. I wrote, I don't know, was I sick or something? I wrote she was helped by the city.
Okay.
How does that even happen?
I don't know how that happens, but good
bad.
A for effort.
That's what I did too, man. It's not that I don't understand how to translate passively. It's my subject and object is the thing that's getting mixed up. That's the problem.
Okay, so for this one, then if you're looking at it,
The orange
you
color.
have, if you parse it nifal perfect 3fs,
I wonder if that's a group thing.
then you'd have to look at the noun that's there. And first of all, it's definite. So whenever the noun is definite and that's the only noun that's there, chances are it's the subject, just general rule of thumb. But this noun also agrees with the person, gender, number of the verb. It's feminine singular. And so that would also help you figure out that it needs to go with the subject rather than the object.
2 weeks
I
ago,
think
the subject and the object were the same as far as person, gender, and number, and they both matched the verb. So I didn't know which one to put. And so the same thing happened this week.
Okay.
So is this not a legitimate translation? She was helped by the city. Is that an impossible translation?
No,
A character. What?
it's not. Mainly because because it's the only thing that's there, and because of the way that the noun agrees with the verb, and there isn't another option here, then your only option is to make that noun the subject. The city was left.
Huh. I think I was so fixated on making it super passive.
Yeah.
So I couldn't make. I felt weird making the noun. Oh, sorry, it's my bad dog.
That's okay.
I felt bad making. I just felt strange making that noun the subject, but I was so fixated on making it passive.
Okay.
It's just weird. It's. I get it now. It's just.
So that's why I also, when we're going through the translations, I mean, try and just translate the verb by itself with the way that you've parsed it. So if you've parsed it nifal perfect 3fs, then the way that you would translate would be she was left or she was abandoned. Okay? And
Right.
then start with that and then see what else is there. And if you start with that and then you see that the noun is also feminine singular, then you can easily put in the city instead of she. So the city was left or abandoned.
Got it.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does. It's just strange.
It is. But the nifal is not supposed to, I mean, it's just not a convoluted translation value. It's supposed to be relatively simple.
Yeah. That's
So,
a nice way of saying I overcomplicated it.
yeah, you did.
I did the same.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right. Does that help you, Jake, at all?
Yeah, all right. Probably.
Helps a little bit. I did the same thing too.
It helps a little bit. So, but you're getting the how to translate the verb by itself, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. I used she too, so yeah.
And so then once you've done that, what I'm saying is do that and then try and maintain the simplest translation value you possibly can with what you have. And that's more often than not going to be correct. So if you have she was abandoned and then you have a feminine singular noun, instead of she, put that noun there because it is agreeing in gender and number.
Gotcha.
And do it that way.
Irregular.
Particularly for these quizzes, you want to try and maintain the simplest translation value you can. And honestly, for the majority of the Old Testament, it is very simple translation value because it's just a recounting of a story that happened. So it's just past tense narrative sequence over and over and over and over again. Okay? So then we're going to do number 2. So number 2, if we're going in order, is Matt. Do you have your quiz?
Yep, I do.
Okay.
Am I muted? I put the city will be left.
Good, but I want you to parse it first. Tell me what the verb is.
The verb is te az ave.
Yeah.
It's going to be nifal, imperfect, 3fs.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that because of what's in the front of it, that tau with the dot and the Sarai.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and I mean, she just has a fixation with us knowing that city is an irregular verb and that it's feminine. Not irregular, but that it's feminine, and so I always catch that. But yeah, the city will be left.
Mm-hmm. And do you see, if you just had that verb, teazav, that it could be imperfect 3fs or imperfect 2ms? Did everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. If you were just parsing, then you could or you should provide both. But if it can work out, like if you have more than that, then you have to make a choice. It can't be either one. You have to put down the one that fits with the translation cluster that you have.
Right.
Okay. So it shouldn't be 3fs or 2ms. It should only be 3fs. Because that's what that's how the city agrees with it. Because that's all you have.
Right, right.
And that is the simplest translation value you can come up with those 2 words.
Because you're never going to speak to the city in second person.
Well, probably not you. Maybe God will.
Yeah, God will.
Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Perfect. Then, Sharon, you're doing the next one.
The one I got wrong. All right, the verb is nolad.
Mm-hmm.
That's that cookie thing you were talking about last week.
It is a cookie.
So I did recognize that. I just couldn't remember my vocab word. So that will be replaced. It is nifal perfect 3ms.
Mm-hmm.
And the N with the hold-on vowel is for the what is that called? I just lost my train of thought.
It's
the yod. Yes.
Right.
So therefore the word is yalad.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Oh, now I can tell you.
I know you can.
Birth. Out.
Right.
Born. I couldn't think of it.
Bear, to give birth. Yeah.
So the translation, which I was almost there, is the boy was born in a small city.
Right.
Was born.
I put has been born and she didn't mark it wrong.
That is because it's perfect. It's still passive, and so you can use that. It's a little more complicated than it needs to be.
Actually put or was in parentheses under it. I see what she. Okay.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And does everyone see that the city that's there is not definite?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What would make it definite?
How about that?
Where?
Underneath the big.
Right. Because it would be, I don't know, I can't think of the word, but you know what I mean.
Oh, man.
Okay. Does anyone have questions with that one?
Nope.
Okay.
Silence, and she was frustrated with the silence. So I just said something to say. Did you have a question?
No, I'm just mad I missed it.
Okay. Let me mute it.
Okay. Are you guys still there?
Yes.
No, I know you guys are there. Jake. Maybe they're not there. It doesn't look like they're there.
Oh, she's talking about.
Oh, there's Joseph. Oh, and Jake.
What's up?
One of you want to translate the next one on the quiz?
I don't have it.
Yeah, I don't
have it.
I don't have the quiz in front of me,
Okay.
but I can open up Dropbox and I've got it. So
Okay.
here.
What's it start with?
Ninathan.
Oh yeah, that one.
That one. Yeah,
I had
yeah.
a problem with that one.
I didn't.
Well,
Hold
then
on.
you guys can do that one.
Here. It's
I don't want to admit what my problem was.
No one will know.
okay. It's Ninathan was a Nifal imperfect 1 CP from Nathan.
I knew
Yeah.
that.
And it is we will be given a little bread
Mm-hmm.
is what I did not actually put on my quiz, but I know is the right answer.
Does that make sense?
It does to me right now that I know what I did wrong, but
My problem was I took the Ma'at to be the other Ma'at, which means staff of your tribe, not the one that means little. So, it's one of those things you get going down a path, and you say, well, this is clearly the noun, so that other one, I know that I wanted to say bread, but it can't because that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. What is? Yeah, it does make sense. What does staff look like?
I don't remember. I just remember it was something pretty close to that.
Something pretty close to that. Let me find it for you.
It's like really close.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't get why you don't do it predicatively. Like, why isn't it? I mean, that doesn't make sense, but looking at it, since it precedes, it's predicative.
Mm-hmm.
The verb. Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. I can only do one thing at a time.
No.
That makes no sense to me.
Oh. The rod staff one is close to that, but it's mem tet hey.
Mata.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was exact.
No, I know. I'm just trying to put them side by side so you can see the difference.
But when you on a quiz, when you get stuck in a mode of thinking like that, I don't go back. I just approximate and move on.
Right. I'm just saying for future reference, that's what the difference is.
Well, I know that now.
Now you know. All right. Now, what were you saying, Matt? Something about predictably. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, I don't see why it's not predicative.
Well, how would you translate it predicatively?
I mean, it makes no sense, but I mean, it looks like it would be, we will be given bread is little. I mean, I know that doesn't make sense, but like, when it's doesn't it, if it precedes, it's predicative?
Mm-hmm.
So why not?
Well, the main response that I have for you is that it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Well, things often don't make sense in this.
Yeah, but if you wanted to translate it as close to understandable English as possible, then it would go the other way. Did you get points off for translating it that way?
Well, I had a reversal moment, and I put, "We will be given bread that is great." I mean, I don't know why I thought great, large instead of little. I switched it in my mind. So I guess that was a point off for that. I don't know if it was for
Yeah.
the translation or the predicativeness.
Okay. Maybe half of a point.
Oh, I got a whole point off.
Did you only get 1 point off?
Yeah.
Then I don't think you got anything off for the translation value.
Oh, okay. I'm happy then.
Good. But it still doesn't make sense that way, so just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Who just did that? Jake just did that. No, Joseph just did that. Okay, Richard, do the next one.
Indeed. Okay, so our verb
Oh, wait a
is
second. Sorry, hold on before you go. The other thing that I wanted to remind you guys is you can parse that as Nifal imperfect 1CP, but do you remember the rules for cohortative and gessive? I can't see you guys, so I don't know if you're saying yes.
Yes, we remember those rules. They look like the imperfect.
They look like the imperfect, but where would they be?
It has to do with word.
It does have to do with word order. So if you have a nifal, or I mean, if you have an imperfect 1CP or 1CS, and it's in the front, it's either, it could be nifal imperfect, but if it's in the front, what else could it be? It's either
Gessive.
cohortative or gessive. So first person is what? Cohortative or gessive?
Yeah, your mouse doesn't work for me.
You smacking it.
cohortative.
Cohortative.
Yeah, cohortative.
And so if it is cohortative, how would you translate that with a cohortative value?
Cohortative first person. You will be given.
I'm like commanding myself.
What words do you supply for cohortative or gessive?
I will.
That is imperfect.
I'm gonna.
You will be given little bread.
That is also an imperfect translation. But if you were to translate it as cohortative or gessive, you would supply the word let or may.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if you were to translate that as a cohortative, it would be let us be given a little bread. Okay? I don't know when, she may have decided to take points off for that, for not translating it as a cohortative or gessive, but she wasn't grading them. So I decided not to, but I'm telling you, going forward, that you don't forget about the cohortative and the gessive translation values with the third person and the first person, because it loses the imperfect kind of translation value and it takes on the cohortative or the gessive, which is let us or may we. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
Good. Don't forget about those because they'll come up and you'll forget that there is such a thing as a cohortative or a gessive because you're going to be so used to just translating or parsing as imperfect, and then you're going to get to a test that I'm not grading and you're going to get points off for it. Okay? Okay, so now, sorry, Richard, go to the next one, which starts with
Got it.
yes.
Okay, so it is a cal, imperfect, 3MP. Lexical form is shema,
Uh-huh.
and I translated that as they will hear a song in the land.
Right. That is correct. But now tell me how you would translate it if you decided to do it as a cohortative, adjessive.
If I did as adjessive, it would be um, let them hear a song in the land.
Right. So I'm just telling you guys, don't forget, because it will come up and it's important that you remember to translate those the right way, both for quizzes and also just for when you get to translations and exegesis. There's just a lot it makes more sense contextually as a cohortative or adjessive, so don't forget that you know what that is. Okay?
Got it.
All right. And the last one, Matt, is all you.
So the commandments of the king will be kept. It is shamar, it's the lexical form. That would be 3FP.
Mm-hmm.
It's imperfect, and it's a nephal.
Right. And this is another one where if you were just parsing it, you could put 3FP or 2FP. But why did you pick 3FP?
Because it didn't make sense for it to be 2FP. Who would they be? Who would you be speaking to in second person to be keeping these things?
Well, yes, just general making sense. That's right. But also, you have that construct chain right there, the commandments of the king.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to go with that verb because that's all that you have.
Right.
You know? So because of that, you need to choose the person, gender, number for your verb that's going to agree with the little noun cluster that you have.
Right.
Okay? So offer both options if all you're doing is parsing. But if you're parsing something from a sentence or a little cluster of words, then you need to pick the option that agrees with the section that you're dealing with, not either or not arbitrarily.
Right.
Okay? Does that help with last week's quiz?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing also to notice about all of the week verb quizzes that you're going to get is she is going to typically pick the things that are the most out of the ordinary and are probably going to give you the most trouble as far as recognition is concerned. But the diagnostics themselves, if you learn them, those, just generally speaking, weak verbs are already a little tricky, but they won't be as tricky as necessarily these quizzes come across because she is typically purposefully choosing the ones that cause people the most trouble so that you can be aware of them. Okay? But that's also a good rule of thumb for when you're studying for the quiz for the weak verbs because you can probably assume that that's what she's going to ask you to parse. Okay? Like that ninithon, it doesn't really look the way that you expect it to be a nifal imperfect. But that is what it looks like. Right? Do you guys have any other questions or anything else that you want to be able to go over?
I actually have to head off, but
Okay.
thanks, Melissa.
You're welcome. Let me know if you need anything.
I'm
I will.
actually
Thank you
signing
very
off
much.
too. I think,
Okay.
Sharon, are you staying?
No.
Sharon's going too.
John's leaving too, and Matt's leaving. Okay, bye.
So it's just you and the Swiss.
Hi.
Hey.
Do you guys have anything else?
Yeah, we're good.
You're good? You don't have any questions?
Not about Hebrew.
Okay. All right. Well, if you guys need anything for the rest of the week, then just let me know.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Thanks,
I could
Alyssa.
really use an A.
You got an A last time,
Totally did.
so just get another one.
All right.
I appreciate
Practice
the.
your translations and your diagnostics,
Yeah.
like the translations on page 213.
Just like
Yep.
I could do diagnostics all day.
Good.
All
Stop.
Hey, son.
all day. All day, Schmidt. All day.
That's my favorite one. Okay.
All right. Well, sounds good. Yeah, we got it. So we'll get all over it. I do appreciate the remembering the cohortative and adjussive because I missed that on the. I mean, I think you obviously graded, didn't mark off, but I missed that concept on that quiz. So
Me
I
too.
think a lot of people forgot about it, and I didn't. I mean, you're parsing it right. There's just more to it, and so I just didn't take off. But I don't know if she would have done that. I just
Sure.
didn't ask.
right.
I'm
Okay.
glad.
Perfect. Perfect. I think people probably need a break too.
That's what I figured as well. So I grade how I want.
Is Dr. is Dr. Petter giving a competency exam?
Male type.
Oh,
No.
he shouldn't. I mean, I would assume that he wouldn't because you're still in the middle of Hebrew 2.
Yeah, we were gonna say he could just ask his wife, but
How
That
competent?
probably wouldn't go over well.
probably not.
She shouldn't ask about how.
I don't think that he will because he's actually there's even more of an overlap this time than there was the last time that he did the interp class. And I don't think that he gave us a competency exam for the interp class. He only gave us a competency exam for the exegesis class.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
And I doubt that Sarah Hall will give you guys a competency exam
Right.
in the
Okay.
summer. Does she just? I just don't think that she will.
Right.
And the only reason that they give a competency exam for the exegesis class ever is because everyone is required at Hamilton to pass a competency exam in exegesis no matter when they took the class.
Oh, okay.
That's dumb.
There you go.
But I don't think you'll have to worry about it in the summer because chances are Ryan will just tell her not to do it and she won't.
Right.
I support that.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay? I don't know who's going to teach you guys in the fall though, so I don't know what
We
to
don't
say.
know. We don't know who was it last time.
Last time it was Tom Petter and then Sarah Hall, but Tom is on sabbatical, so he's not doing conquest narratives. Sarah is. I don't know if he'll be. I don't know when his sabbatical is over, so I don't think that he would be back in the fall. So chances are they probably have no idea who's doing that, unless maybe they can get Kathy McDowell or they'll just ask Sarah to do the next one.
Right. Well, I hear Sarah Hall's pretty good.
She is pretty good. Hers is typically a lot more pastoral than academic.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Cool.
unless
should
she
let-
changes it, but I doubt it.
You should let Donna teach her Exodus course. That'd be great for me.
I think she's on sabbatical too.
Oh, man, bummer.
Oh, I could teach it.
Okay.
That'd be fun.
I mean, probably not very well, but I'm taking it.
Well, I bet you could teach it better than them. You're doing that for Hebrew, so.
All right. Just in case you're still recording, I don't have a problem with Donna.
I don't think anyone does.
Okay.
That's not what I said.
Hmm?
That's not what I said.
I don't think I heard clearly anything that you said. At least not directly relating to Donna. It had more to do with
The
me.
moral answer would be to come talk to me personally if there's an issue. That's what a spiritually mature person would do.
True. You're right.
I might be right, but I'm not mature.
You can't have everything.
No. Mm-mm. That's true. Life's just not fair.
It never is.
Cool.
All right,
Well, we're on. Appreciate
Okay. No problem. Let me know if you
Alright.
guys need anything else the rest of the week.
all right.
it. Absolutely.
All
See you,
right.
girl.
Bye.
Bye.